We are back. Baschamania, I think 232. Wyatt Hendrickson back on the show. How are you, man?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day here in Colorado. It's actually it was like 60, 70-degree winds. I thought we were going to lose our 125 pounders today.
It's funny because I bet the 10 minutes we just spent talking about everything going on would have been great listening for podcast listeners, but we're going to make do, man, because that was good stuff. But, I always do it. One of the things we were talking about is that there's so much going on in Oklahoma State right now. I think this is probably going to come out tomorrow on Tuesday. We're recording this Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern, where there's all these David Taylor to Oklahoma State rumors and all this speculation going on, and you're dead center in the middle of it where you're impacted by it. So we're going to get into that in a couple minutes. I want to back up a little bit because I had you on just before the season started, and I was excited, and you had a great season. I'm sure. I don't know how you feel about it because I know you want to be in the top of the podium, and I think you're talented enough that you could have been. Looking back now on the season, you had your third season in a row with just 2 losses, which is crazy, and you went back-to-back with third-place finishes. Looking back, what was your takeaway on this last college season?
Yeah, I mean, at that top level, it's just all those guys are the best wrestlers, and everyone goes. There's no excuse anymore. Like after Spencer, all these guys are winning. Stracci, all these guys are hurt. Like there's no more excuses. But I've just been very fortunate to not have any injuries my entire wrestling career. Like I'm still surgery free, which is just an absolute blessing.
Rare.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I was after Worlds and my knee, I was just out from like those big tournaments and wrestling those high level guys. Which, I mean, I've experienced that before. But, I mean, just getting those feels is really important because, in those matches, like, it comes down to inches and ounces. It's something we always say in the practice room. And I'm like, oh, I've done my 10,000 hours. I've done all my reps. But, I mean, in those matches, if you're not on it, I mean, the smallest thing, the little bit of pressure the wrong direction, that's a 3-point swing. And it's just a culmination of a bunch of those. And, Lucas Davidson wrestled a really good match, and he found all my little weaknesses and ultimately took me down, which sucked. I wasn't happy, but I came back, took third. I can't be unhappy with that.
Yeah. And then, the news came out a couple weeks ago that you hit the transfer portal, and I had texted you right away because I'm like, much like everybody else initially, I'm very blessed to know so many of you guys where it's like when I have these questions, I can go right to you and ask. But there's a lot of fans who are like, wait a minute, he's in the Air Force. Well, what do you mean he's in the transfer portal? So I said, let's get you on and explain that to people. But first, when did you think about maybe leveraging that COVID year and taking that extra year of eligibility?
So it's never that I didn't want to do it. It's just I didn't think I could do it. So I never actually thought about actually pursuing this until like the second I stepped off the podium. Out of double A's, a lot of people, I know I got a lot of great connections, and ultimately they're like, hey, is this something you'd want to do? And I was like, well, I've been telling people the last couple of years, like I just did the thing. So I was like, no, I'm not going to wrestle again. Like I get to go in the Air Force, I get to do this, but and a lot of the times when it's late in the process, because a lot of people don't know, but when after the academy, there's plenty of different programs that go to grad school and go on different programs that allow you to go get your master's and fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, like you're screwing over the Air Force, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're avoiding service," and I'm like, "Where's your sources?"
I know.
To be amazing, your master's anyway. So it's like I was really blessed. I had the right people in my corner, and they were like, "Hey, well, let's see if we can get you one of these programs." And they did. So I get to go to grad school and get my MBA, and then I'll be active duty in the Air Force still, doing my time. I've gotten the Air Force to serve, and this is just a special route. I get to get my education knocked out earlier versus wait another 4 or 5 years. And the best part is, I get to compete one more year in the NCAA.
Well, and that's what I was telling some people. Is like my brother was a Marine, and he went after the first 3 or 4 years, then he was able to get his degree and this and that and further his education. And you're kind of just doing it the opposite way, which a lot of times people don't do. which is why it's like, wait a minute. And you hear the portal, and you just think the instant reaction right now is NIL. Why is in the portal? NIL. Get the bag. He was offered a bag. So let's ask that. Can you even deal with NIL because you're in the military?
Yeah, so for this, for the program I'm in, I'm actually going to be going into a certain reserve program, and so with that, I'm actually to act like I'm a civilian.
Wow,
so
okay.
I don't have to, yeah, so it's kind of I mean, I don't know why they do it. It's a little bit different. If we go to World War III, I'll obviously come back into, they'll pull me in.
Yeah.
But we're small. That's not going to happen.
Just wait until like March 25th or something next year.
Yeah. So I'll actually, for the next 12 months I'll be at grad school for 24 months, but I'm going to enter the Air Force for the second year, but for a lot of different reasons. But I'll actually be able to accept NIL. I'm a regular person. I'm a regular civilian just going to college for a year. So
that's awesome, man. So I believe you've got 4 schools that it's always funny to me because, I was never a good wrestler, so I never fully got to experience the recruiting process. But I got to imagine I got to imagine it's so different, though, after colleges have seen you for 4 years, and it's like you have goals, and you're looking at this program almost like the original recruiting. Like, you convinced me, why should I come here? But you also have this 4 years of college dominance and performance on display for the coaches to see, for teammates at these programs to see. I mean, I saw as soon as you put the Oklahoma State photo up, Dayton Fix commented right away with a cowboy hat emoji. Like, people in these programs want you because they see how dominant you've been. And it's like, bro, if you're going somewhere, like, come here. So what are the 4 schools that you're exploring right now, and what has that been like so far?
So I'm kind of, some people know about it, but I'm revealing them one by one. Obviously, I went to Oklahoma State, I went to Minnesota, and there's 2 more schools I'm looking at. One more Big 12 school, and then one more Big 10 school. I'll just leave it at that for now, just to let it ponder.
I don't want to spoil anything, and you don't have to confirm or deny this. But one note I have to go over with you is I was going to ask you about your Olympic trials experience, and I caught the Olympic trials is crazy because as you're there and you're trying to watch it and you have 4 mats going on, you can't really see every mat. And I remember vividly during your match thinking that Dom Bradley pulled a WWE move against you, and that dude like launched you off the stage and turned around and just kept walking. And so I'm on media row all the way at the end of the 4 mats, the opposite. I think you were on mat 4 and I'm over by mat 1 or vice versa. And you just see like your body go flying and you see Dom walking back to the center. And I'm like, what just happened over there? Is Wyatt getting up? And then Bradley did a podcast with Zeb Miller about his retirement and all that. And he said, man, I want that kid to come to Missouri. So it's kind of like actively trying to pursue recruiting him and then trying to wrestle him at the same time. It's like you got to kind of big brother him. You got to kind of show him like, listen, iron sharpens iron. So I don't know if you want to confirm or deny Mizzou or if we got to wait until we get a singlet shot. But Dom Bradley has made it known that he does want you at Missouri.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing is there's been so many, it feels good because obviously when I committed to Air Force really early, that was my only official visit, and I actually committed before I ever went on my official visit here to Air Force. So now it's like all these coaches are reaching out and I'm just like, this feels nice. Like I'm feeling the love. So
yeah,
it's awesome. People reaching out and talking to me. It's like, the wrestling community is just so awesome. And there's so many, like, they're obviously the best coaches for a reason. And so, yeah, Dom's been awesome. I don't know if the best recruiting strategy is to run your recruit off the stage.
And, one of the things we were talking about before we started recording was how a lot of the schools where you could be a potentially good fit, both for your goals and for them from a team standpoint, they have so much going on. Excuse me. As we're recording, we have all these rumors about David Taylor going to Oklahoma State. Will Coleman Scott get the job? For you, Oklahoma State was the first program that you shared that photo of you in a cowboy singlet. And I saw it, and I do this sometimes because I'll make graphics and stuff like while I'm on a work call, conference call, whatever. So I saw that. I'm like, oh, man, I wish you would have like done a video about it. Like I told him he could have came on the podcast. What's he doing just putting out a photo? And then I saw the 104 after. But so I'm seeing him like Oklahoma State could be a good fit. How much does all the active news kind of play into your decision? Not even just Oklahoma State. You know, that sounds like that decision will be made in the next couple of days, and that gives you some time. But it feels like there's also even the unknowns where the WWE reportedly cut Gable Steveson this week. Could he be back at Minnesota? Whether to compete or just a training partner for you, you know, I got to imagine that could weigh in to have somebody like Gable as a training partner, or who takes over the Oklahoma State program. What has it been like with all this news going on? And I know you're probably not going to make a decision for a couple of weeks. So are you kind of letting the dust settle on some of these things before you kind of decide?
Yeah, obviously, I'm going to make sure I take all my visits before I make my decision so I can still learn about all these programs. But, I mean, part of it's just interesting. I mean, the coaches call me, you know, give me some updates on stuff. But, like, I mean, some of the most important things is, you know, partners and coaches. That's my main focus, you know, and the culture. I want to be around a good group of guys. And I think, like, you know, what just like small things like that, that's not really going to shift everything. But, sure. I mean, it's definitely interesting to, like, you know, because I was at Minnesota and then suddenly, you know, Gable's just hanging out in the room and I just don't say what's up to him because, you know, he's always in there training too. And then the next day I see, you know, got released. So it's just interesting to be in the mix because, I mean, I was even on my phone and I think one of the coaches was talking about it and they're like, yeah, it was funny because I'm like, well, how's my visit going? Visit going?
I know. And Gable still has a year of eligibility, I think. I don't know how that could work. I think he's got a year of eligibility. But yeah, and it's funny that the first two of the four schools, you do have Oklahoma State with the head coaching stuff going on, Minnesota with Gable, like what's he gonna do? Lingering. Yeah, it also it's all things that can only benefit you. You know, like getting the best coach at Oklahoma State, you know, seeing if Gable's around and he's a training partner and stuff. So that all seems pretty cool. Do you know when you want to officially make an announcement? I know you still have 2 more visits you want to make. Do you know when about you want to announce it?
I'm announcing on May 20th.
Okay. So that's what? That's 20. 2 weeks from today. That's exciting, man. So about give or take a couple days.
Yep. That sounds right. I'm excited. I'm pumped. But I'm gonna make sure, you know, I get to enjoy my time and, you know, go see what these programs are about.
What's the most exciting thing about it where it's like, you know, you see some hate on the internet for the 5th year. And I don't think people are necessarily mad at any of you guys taking a COVID year. I think it's more of like upset with the NCAA. Like, how did Vincenzo Joseph only get 3 years and this guy get 5? But none of you guys taking advantage of this year, I don't think anybody's mad at. But it is a very unique scenario where you get this opportunity, where you get one more chance to achieve that dream of being an NCAA champion. And you also get to kind of experience getting your education early, getting your MBA, getting these things, and going to an absolute top program. What has that experience been like on that part of the recruiting? Not so much like just the experience of being recruited by these schools, but to have this opportunity that's kind of rare.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the coaches I've had and people I've talked to, they're, you know, 45, 50 years old. So not old, just, you know, still young. They say if they could have, you know, if they had an extra year, like, gosh, they'd go back and do it if they could. And I mean, a lot of those people, I don't even follow the internet very much, like, but whenever,
good. That's like, probably for your betterment.
I learned that a long time ago. But I mean, for a lot of those people saying that, they've probably never been in that position, I would say, because just having the opportunity to go back and, like, because it's usually, oh, if I had one more year, I was like, well, we do. So, like, no regrets. Especially for me, I was going to go wrestle WCAP and just get my master's online. But now I can still wrestle and get my master's in person and still wrestle in NCAA. So it's just like, to me, it's a bonus. And, I mean, I actually thought about that once because I was like, I got a COVID year. And I guess I kind of understood it, but I was like, still, like, it kind of sucks because, I mean, I wasn't really even affected by it. I mean, I obviously was, like, the years after it should have been gone. They took that extra year. So it's like, we're just doing the same thing. Like, it sucked that maybe we've been robbed of some opportunity there and we're ready to get it back and go have some fun. So, I mean, I'm excited, especially since I get to, get my education. That's a big thing for me. When I go here, I'm like, wrestling's awesome, but also, like, I also came to the Air Force Academy for a specific reason. I care about my career and my schooling. So, yeah.
We mentioned Don Bradley throwing you off the stage, but Olympic trials as a whole, what was your takeaway? It's always interesting watching the younger guys where it's like when you see the guys in their late 20s, early 30s, there's that sense of urgency. Like, wrestling is a young man's sport. And if you don't get it done young, you start feeling that urgency. Is this last cycle? But a lot of the younger guys, there's not a lot of urgency. There's not a lot of pressure. You know that you're likely going to have another chance. You're still young. What was it like? What were your takeaways from competing in the trials?
Yeah, every single opportunity I can go and, put my best foot forward and wrestle with an Air Force singlet, I absolutely love it. And something I kind of struggled with a little bit this time was just kind of the mental aspect of things. A lot of these guys are coming off of, NCAA season, and I think some things it's just mental, and you got to just have that mental toughness to make it through it. And I think sometimes it was easy for me to make an excuse, and it's kind of shameful to say that, but that's the truth of it. The mental side of wrestling, it's all of it. I mean, this is a big tournament leading up to it. It's like the nerves are going, and you gotta be on your A game, because if you get lackadaisical for 1 second, like I said, they're gonna take advantage of that. So I don't think I'm not super happy with how I wrestled, but I mean, from that tournament, I have nothing but great learning points that I'm going to apply to my season next year and, the rest of my wrestling career.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. When I was watching you compete, I remember when you were walking out, I was thinking how cool it was because, like, it's such an honor that you guys are competing to represent the United States of America, and you and anybody else in the military. I'm like, it's a cool thing too. It's like you guys are actually serving the country in that capacity. Like, you're already wearing that flag on your uniform, and now you're trying to wear it on a singlet too. I'm like, it's such a unique, like, added layer that, I know there's a lot of Army guys in the Greco, and I don't follow Grecly as close as I do freestyle. So it kind of hit me when you were coming. I'm like, man, it's actually pretty cool. Like, somebody who's wearing the flag on their uniform, serving this country, is now trying to put it on their singlet. I'm like, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unreal. And the support that the wrestling community shows is just like, that just makes it 10 times better because, a lot of people, and especially like a lot of, alumni and people in the military, it's like they've been reaching out, and it's just awesome. The fact I get to do this, and along with, a lot of Army guys that are, Olympians, it's just, being alongside them and doing awesome stuff. It's like, that's why we do it. That's why I love doing this every single day, because ultimately I get to represent the country, and, doing it, at the Olympics or a world championship, it's like, that just makes it that much sweeter.
I'm assuming there's no shot you could cut down and try to get to like 92 kilos, man. I would love to see you go for the world championship non-Olympic weight team. Like, that'd be incredible too, man. Not that much weight to cut, right?
It's terrible. I mean, the last time I took a DEXA scan, I think if I was like 1% body fat, I could do it. But obviously, I've enjoyed my life being a big boy and being happy eating all my food. But
yeah, dude, you got it good. Some of these guys that that you see, these 61 and these 70 guys having to make these decisions to go down or go up, and I'm like, oh, I can't imagine those decisions. And you see it pay off sometimes. I think Zane was going to go up, and the coaches had a good plan. He went down, and it worked out for him. But man, some of these guys, and I see them now trying to decide. 86 guys wanting to go up to 92 for a shot at the non-Olympic Worlds. And I was thinking about some of you heavyweight guys. I'm like, yeah, there's just nowhere for you to go. Like, maybe if we can get like 110 kilo or something, maybe like a little. Yeah, that's. Oh man, I love it. All right, Wyatt. Anything else before I let you go? You got 2 more visits, 2 more weeks. You're gonna make the announcement on where you're gonna spend the next couple of years, getting your MBA, 1 year competing. Any final thoughts or words?
Oh, I'm just excited. And, the fact I get through this opportunity is just, it's really unimaginable. And the people at my family and my friends, the whole Air Force Academy, the whole support staff is just, they've been nothing but awesome to me during this whole process, because it's really different because, sometimes when you're in the transfer portal, it's not the best relationship with your team. Under my circumstances, it's awesome because if I had another year to wrestle, it's like there's no second question about it. I'm going to stay here and represent the Air Force, but I can't. And Coach Barber and Coach Joe and Coach Howman, everyone's been just super helpful and helping me find the best fit and just make like, hey, this is still my home and that's never going to change. So just shout out to all of them. Especially my mom and dad. They've been super excited about this. And
love that.
Yeah, my little sister Gracie, she's just she's like, there's no way you're gonna go wrestle again. It's like it's awesome.
And
I love
for a different school.
Yeah, I know, that's exciting. I get to go to a different school and go to civilian school for a little bit, so hopefully I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another added like uniqueness to all this is like, you go from Northwestern to Michigan, or a lot of times you see these interconference transfers, or you see a small school guy now going to a big school. But, to go from military service to a standard Oklahoma State, Minnesota, yeah, that's super cool. Well, man, this is going to be exciting. I'm excited. I've already told you the platform's yours. If you want to come on here to make the announcement, we can do it in a couple weeks. And I'm sure... Listen, this is probably going to come out tomorrow. I don't know if Willie and I are doing a show tonight to talk about all this Oklahoma State stuff. But do you have, and you can say no, obviously, but do you have a preference on who you would like to be the next coach at Oklahoma State?
I've obviously David Taylor. I've looked up to him my whole life. Him and Kyle Dave are my 2 role models. But Tyler Caldwell and Coleman, I've also gotten to know them, and they're great people. So I think no matter what, like, that program's going to do nothing but prosper. I know they got a great group of guys. They got a great culture, and I don't think, that's going to change with whoever's the new coach.
That's a very, very political response, but I believe it. We make a good point for both. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, well, we're going to watch and find out. We're going to get some Oklahoma State news, then we're going to get some Wyatt news a couple weeks later. So, Wyatt, thank you, man, for making some time to come on. Best of luck to you, and we'll see shortly where you end up.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man. See ya. All right, we're back, and we're shifting gears now. First, Wyatt Hendrickson came back on after a long college season. Now, Kennedy Blades, who I cannot believe how fast time flies, because somebody was just telling me, like, oh, it's so cool you're having Kennedy Blades on. I want to hear more from her. And I'm like, cool. Like, she was on before, right? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, she was literally on 3 years ago after she won a junior world championship. And this guy just started following the podcast last year. So I'm like, go back and listen to that episode first, get a lot of her background, get some context, and then we can bring you up to speed with today's show. All right, sweet. So the last time you were on here, junior world champion. Now, in my opinion, I think the title Olympian trumps that. Do you think being an Olympian trumps junior world team or junior world champ?
Yeah, that's like a forever thing. And it's only every 4 years. That's what makes it crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy because anytime I start preparing for an episode, I go back and, I was at the Olympic trials, and I remember I was at Final X last year, and I remember being high on you last year. And when Adeline won 2 in a row last year, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I know that Kennedy's right there. And then this year, you sweep Adeline Gray, one of the best to ever do it, 2 in a row. What does it mean for you to make this team by dethroning one of the all-time greats?
I think I think it's awesome, just the fact that I made the team, but I just definitely wanted to show, not just the nation but like the world that I'm up there and I am the best. I remember in 2021, like, Tamara was, she was like one of the toughest opponents, and
Yep.
so like I had to beat her to make the Olympic team. So this year, like, Adeline, like, on paper was the toughest opponent, and so this time I won. And now going into the Olympics, like, I'm super excited, and I'm very confident, but I'm also, I'm obviously going to train hard and stuff, like, not take anything for granted. But yeah, I don't know. I think I already knew, like, in my head, that I was the best and I could beat her and everything. But now it really shows to other people, like, wow, like, she is definitely, a problem. So, yeah.
What do you think the big difference was from wrestling Adeline last year? She beats you 2 in a row, to this year, you winning 2 in a row.
I think my mindset, honestly, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. I don't know why I put so much. I think, though, the reason why I put so much pressure is because, like, I think 3 weeks ago I had teched her. So I knew, like, I have to tech her, or, I didn't even think about winning. I just thought, like, either to tech her a bit. And so when I went back and watched the match, like, there was just times where I shot just to shoot, just to try to get a takedown, so that the points would keep going up, instead of just being smart and being patient and stuff. So I definitely worked on my mentality with this coach her name is Coach Kelly. She's the head coach of Northwestern lacrosse. They're like the best. They're like basically the Penn State of lacrosse. They have like 15 NCAA titles.
I love the analogy. I love the analogy for wrestling fans. Made it super clear right away.
Yeah. So she's up there for sure. And we just focused more on going out there and having fun and letting it fly, and not thinking about winning, just thinking about, having fun, and going back to the mentality of in 2021, I had nothing to lose because I was just a 17-year-old girl in high school, just trying to, have fun and wrestle. And so that's what I thought of again. Like, I still have 2028, 2030, like, so it's not the end of the world if I don't win. So instead of, just thinking win, just go out there and wrestle and have fun. So that was a huge difference, I think.
Yeah. And, I know a big part of your career path, excuse me, has been health and staying healthy. You've had some concussions and health scares. I remember when you were wrestling, I think it was Kylie Welker, and you had a concussion. Yeah. It's one of the scariest things you can see as a wrestling fan. Like, just, you want a good match, regardless of who you're rooting for. You never want to see an injury. And that happened. What goes through your mind? Because sometimes, health and timing are two of the biggest things in this sport. Can you stay healthy in the timing of everything happening? Your health journey over the last couple of years, staying healthy, what has that been like for you, making sure that you deal with anything? Like you said, you are still so young. I mean, you turn, 21 later this year, I believe. So you still have, like, I've had Wyatt Hendrickson just on here, and we were talking about how he still has 1, 2, 3 potential, Olympic cycles where you guys can compete. So what has that been like to focus on your health and make sure you're in this for the long run and staying healthy?
Yeah. Lately I've been working with these doctors that my friend Dave has introduced me to, and just small things like even red light therapy and these other devices that we've been using, which obviously they're legal, but because nowadays everyone thinks that. But,
right.
Yeah, no, so that we've been doing that. And then when I do when I practice my explosive shots, because I do a lot of like blast doubles and throws and stuff, I wear my headgear during practice, and actually the headgear works really well. And then if I ever have to go into a tournament wearing my headgear, I just do it. And so I'm just being super smart, not taking any, like, if I feel something small, I'm gonna put on the headgear, like, even though I can't breathe half the time and just a tight headgear.
Yeah.
So I need to train. Sometimes though, like, I don't know why, but sometimes when I feel like I should just, like, like need to suffer a little, I wear like a bunch of clothes and a headgear so that like I can really push through practice.
Yeah, I get it.
It gets hot in the ASU wrestling room, especially with the desert. But but yeah, just being smart and talking to my coaches and speaking up. And I'm like a senior level athlete now, and I wrestle the best in the world. So we're not just gonna wrestle just through injuries and stuff. I mean, we have a goal. It's worlds and Olympics. So yeah, just I think the communication is the biggest part, and some people forget that because they don't want their coach to get mad or they're scared to get kicked off the team and stuff. But my parents are super like they really do care about me and my sister's health, so they always put our health first. And coaches like Coach Perry and Izzy, they do the same. So it's really nice to work with them like that.
Love that. I brought up Kylie Welker, which leads me to my next question, is that the women's upper weights right now at 72 and 76 kilos are just lights out. And I think I said it on the Olympic trials preview show that, as people want to see women's wrestling grow, one of the things that helps that is the success. And when you have somebody like a Tamara Mensah-Stock retire, and you have somebody like Amit Elor, and you see the change in the guard, you beat Adeline Gray, you see the change in the guard. In that depth, it's funny because it's not just isolated to you beating Adeline. You also have, I believe I saw 3 out of the top 4 for the national team are still U23 eligible. It shows you how young and how much talent there is, that this isn't like, it's not even spaced out. You see sometimes where it's like you have some 20-somethings, some mid-20s, some 30s. There's such a big group of young superstars coming up. What has that been like for you, where you do, I believe iron sharpens iron, and it's like you have all these competitors that, even you said Adeline was your toughest opponent on paper, which has got to be true given her accolades. But when you have the other women that you do in that field, what is that like, knowing you have such a wide group of people to not only continue to have to improve to beat, but knowing you have to be your best for that entire tournament and be the best in that entire field, not just for, 1 or 2 people?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I did realize, because we had to go to the Olympic Training Center last week, all the Olympians for like testing and stuff, and I didn't realize like how young we all are.
Yeah.
Like, I think Adeline is the oldest one, but because it went down the line, because I had the first pick for U23 Worlds, and I declined it because I'm just gonna focus on Olympics and like take a break a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then it goes down the line with like Yelena, and then if not Yelena, Kylie. And then not Kylie, the girl that actually won, which is Tristan. So it's like crazy how deep the whole thing is. And I knew when I was younger, like, I don't know, like maybe 12 or something, I knew my generation was going to be the toughest because we all started when we were like 6. And then we all had to wrestle boys because there was no girls. Mm-hmm. So I knew like my generation was going to be the toughest. But I knew like at the end, like I knew I was going to be the top dog. But that just goes to show you that I have to keep developing no matter what, because I have a huge target on my back. And what's also nice too is at the end of the day, like, and this is what I thought about like after Final X, like, someone told me this after Final X, was that whoever we sent at 76 kilos, we know will do good in international, because our like 76 for women's is just so like deep. And I don't know, I didn't think, like, we just have so many good big girls. But it's also cool, too, that, like, since I made the Olympic team, it's funny how, like, now we're all coming together at these camps to help me, like, get, like, train to, beat these girls. So, because we're all, like, not with each other. But then all these camps, like, all the top 3 girls are going to be there. So they're all trying to help me, like, win a gold medal. So I think it's kind of cool that we do come together at the end to help each other out. But yeah, it's pretty cool how, now we're putting a staple on the map for women's wrestling and the US especially. And I feel like it's getting more and more exciting to watch, and hopefully the sport can grow and we can have more supporters and stuff. And I feel like the next generation, they're going to be even tougher because they're just going to try to, take our spot and stuff. So it's just developing, and yeah, I think the older girls did really well with helping us pave the way, but now we need to continue. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about the Olympic trials, I did not get to watch very many. I was in the arena for most of it, so I didn't get to hear many of the interviews on NBC, but I heard yours and my wife heard it. And as soon as you went heavy into your faith, we were both like, go, girl, go. Like, it's so refreshing because it inspires so many people. And, I always try to leave the door open on this podcast because athletes don't have a huge opportunity to talk about their faith and what it means. And often you do get that little segment of, if a guy wins NCAAs and he's on ESPN, he gets that 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool, but it is so tough to, like, get it out and remember it. And I'm sure there's so much on your mind. So to go into detail a little bit more, what has your faith meant to you, especially this last year? If you just look at from Final X to now, what a roller coaster it is. We talk about concussions and losses and victories. I got to imagine your faith plays a role in kind of keeping you grounded and balanced through it all. So tell me a little bit about how much your faith has played a role in your success this past year.
Yeah. Yeah, my faith has been super strong with Jesus. Especially not like, I don't even know when I started, like, really. I think it was like last year, like when I was just really like reading the Bible and getting into the word and stuff, because I feel like I just was kind of, but then like once I started, I was like, wow, like he's amazing. And so I think just having so much faith in him has put me at ease with everything, especially with my injuries or all my losses. Like, I think the last time I won before Olympic trials was US Open, and I just kept like losing, and I was just like praying to God and stuff, but I wasn't upset. I was just more so like, okay, this is his will. Like, I put everything into his hands, and that's what comforts me, because there's a reason why there had to have been a positive out of the negative. And the reasons were like, I needed more partners. So I talked to coach. I needed a coach for my mental side and all this stuff. So like, I just kept, trusting him. And literally whenever I felt like anxious or nervous or anything, I would close my eyes and I would like picture like this ball of like, I don't know, it's like this fuzzy ball, and I would put it in his hands, and I would just say, Lord, can you please take this and bless me with grace and happiness? And then I'd feel so much better. So and I remember, I think it was before US Open, like I was just praying and stuff, and then I closed my eyes and I had this ball in my hand. I don't know why, but there's a lot of this. But it was a really, really bright ball, and it was my life. And I put it in his hands. I was like, Lord, whatever happens in my life, I trust you, and I understand that you want nothing but the best for me. So whatever happens, I know that this is in your will. So like all these like ups and downs was for a reason, but I never like got psyched out or anything, because I constantly told him my dream, which is to be an Olympic champion in 2024. And I believe that like he cares about our dreams and stuff. So if we continue to trust him and believe in him, then he will help us for sure. So yeah, and I would just be in the word all the time. I read my Bible all like pretty much every day. I even read it in between sessions at the Olympic Training Center. I mean, and during the Olympic trials. Yeah, and it just really like helped me and calmed me, because I didn't want to think about wrestling or anything. And when I go into like his space, it like really makes me happy and stuff. So yeah, he definitely plays a huge role. And every single time before I step on the mat, I'm like, God, if it's in your will, it will be done. No matter what happens,
Amen. I
know that you'll be with me and you'll help me, and there's always going to be something coming out of it. And luckily, I like won, so I was just super happy.
It's nice when it works out like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and my goal, honestly, I do want to win, but my main goal in the sport of wrestling is to praise and tell the word of Jesus at the highest level. So anytime I get a chance, like on the big TV or something, I try to spread the word as short but as quickly as possible so that
Yeah.
people like understand. And yeah, when I got the opportunity on NBC, like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. So like I asked God, like, please allow the Holy Spirit to speak through me and like help me get this out. And then after I did it, I was like, oh, that was pretty good. Like I said it pretty well. Like on the
You
first day.
did.
Like I
Yeah.
answered the question in a biblical way, and I was like, yes. Like I was
Yeah.
excited. So yeah, that was like, this is like honestly my main goal. Like I just want everyone to know that if you trust Jesus, like everything will fall into place no matter what. And yeah, I don't he's just amazing, and I really do pray that everyone gets to meet him like spiritually. And yeah, at every camp I do too, talk about my faith, and I feel like that's why we're on this earth, is to spread the gospel and the talent that God gave us. So that's
I
my
love
goal,
that.
honestly.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that, and I think there's a lot of people out there who I think when they see somebody have the success, have the failures, and maintain that kind of constant throughout. Like, I'm not going to get too high, I'm not going to get too low. There's a lot of people searching for
Hmm.
that, because this world likes to, when you're down, this world likes to kick you when you're down, and when you're high, it don't last that long. Whether it's drugs, success, whatever, you come down pretty quickly, and that's, they talk about after the Olympics. I think Michael Phelps talked about it a lot, like the mental health side of it, where you go from all eyes on you, the Olympics, 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 to kind of nothing after, and if you're too high and too low. So I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from that. You're not only
For
adding
sure.
an accolade to you and becoming an Olympian. Our guy Izzy now has an Olympian. He's coached somebody to win the Olympic trials. I'm a big Izzy guy. I love Izzy. Talk to me a little bit about what it's been like for you being a part of Izzy Style and having Izzy in your corner through all this.
Yeah, coach is awesome. I mean, he's great. He's almost like an uncle to, well, he's kind of like an uncle to me. He helps me mentally a lot, and technically, of course, like getting passed down from his dad to him has been a like such an easy transition. But yeah, in the corner I can really hear him, like
Mm-hmm.
so he helps me like get out of my own head and all that stuff, and he's helped me mentally like in those matches when it gets rough, like Kennedy snap out of it, you just gotta wrestle and all this stuff. And he's just like, I don't know, like being coached by him is super fortunate. I mean, not everyone can experience it, and he gives everyone a second chance. Like someone like Haley Agello, like after her retirement, she wanted to come back, and he helped her and coached her and stuff. And he's just been, nothing but positive vibes and stuff. So I mean, he helped me at my last Olympic run, and I knew I definitely wanted him to be in my corner throughout my whole journey.
Yeah.
So having him and Perry is like such a perfect, because they're like best friends from JUCO, and they've just been best friends since. And yeah, so then him getting passed down from Izzy to Perry was such an easy transition as well, because they're both pretty like like crazy in their own way. But I don't know. He's awesome, and he's such a great person.
Yeah,
Like,
he is.
but he's super super rough, but in a good way, because it helps you become like even a better person. So I'm excited for him to be there, and yeah, it's gonna be a great great tournament. So
I love that. And you mentioned Mark Perry, another guy that's great to have in your corner. What has your time been like at Arizona State? I know you and your sister are there, and it's kind of a weird time in women's wrestling where it's growing to the point to where, soon we're going to have women's national champions or national championships and all that. And in the meantime, you kind of have these main programs, men's programs that are developing women's programs alongside, but it's not the pool of men at these colleges is still so much bigger. What has it been like at Arizona State, both academically and training with one of the top colleges in the country?
hmm yeah, coach is awesome. Perry is, I mean, he knows wrestling. He can study someone like crazy. It's almost scary. But, he helps me like technically and stuff, and he like knows pretty much every step, and he like understands patterns. So he's trying to teach his athletes that. And then going to ASU, I mean, it's beautiful here. It's always fun. And me, Savannah, my sister, are in the same, like, we're in the same program thing with like going to ASU and then training at Sunkist. So it's
Yeah.
nice to have, each other at the same age because our team is all adults. So it's, but it's always fun. And, ASU, they're top 4, top 5. So it's pretty elite in there too. It's not like, they're the worst. So I have great partners over there to train with too. And then being with Forrest, she's been like almost like an older sister to me and she's taught me a lot. So, I feel like I definitely matured super quickly over there because I kind of had to being at the senior level. But at the same time, when I went to Wyoming Seminary, like they definitely prepared us for college. I mean, my freshman year was nothing because I just knew how to write papers, talk to my teachers, I had to travel, knew how to maintain, everything that was going on. So I definitely give a lot of credit to Sem for helping us prepare for that because, we were only 2 years away from Olympics, so I definitely wanted to make sure everything was on point for the next 2 years. So,
That's awesome. And what's it been like with your sister? I mean, obviously you and Corinne are super close. She's a wrestler. She's a damn good wrestler. And she's there with you at ASU. She's there with you at the Olympic trials. And it's it's always an interesting thing when you have siblings that are close in age competing. And if one gets an accolade, another doesn't, you never see the other one rarely waver. She's right there for you, right in your corner, as excited for you as anybody. What's that like having her in your corner?
No, it's awesome. I mean, it's like you have a best friend everywhere you go. And we've been through like the trenches together. I mean, I'm talking about like when we were younger, we would have to go to practice and then my dad would make us do an extra 2 hours in the basement with perfecting all the technique and stuff. So we know each other very well. And she's there for me. She helps me braid my hair. She helps me mentally. She's even there like when I don't want to think about wrestling and we make like TikToks and, social media and stuff. So it's always fun. And, it is definitely easy to have someone close in age because, we went to ASU at the same time since we're in the same grade and we're in the same program at the same time instead of being like a year or two apart and stuff. So, I love it. She's going to be there at the Olympics and I'm just super excited. And yeah, I mean, just having just a great support system, especially one by your side all the time is like, I couldn't ask for more. So
it's cool too because you both signed a deal with Rudis, and I talk all the time on this podcast about how different it is now that the wrestlers coming up have all these NIL deals, have brand deals, have all these commitments for on top of your training, on top of everything else. You now have financial and time commitments for being a brand ambassador to being with a company like Rudis. What has that been like for you, not trying to get too distracted? We mentioned that you're only 20 years old, and in my opinion, I think you're going to end up going down as one of the all-time greats. And the way you do that is you have a long career and you have longevity. And obviously partnering with the right people and not burning yourself out with commitments or stressful partnerships and relationships, that's super important. What has it been like for you working with Rudis and having these commitments at such a young age?
Yeah, they're super supportive with everything. They understand our training schedule and all this stuff. Like right now we have to meet, all of the Olympians have to meet at the headquarters. And it was hard for all of us to find the time because like Spencer's trying to go qualify the weight. Some of us are going to like ranking events and all this stuff. So, but they understand that they make time for us. But I think that's just amazing. And then with the whole like, since certain schools are like different brands, like they're okay with us wearing, because it's our school and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're awesome. They're super supportive with everything. And, I just couldn't think of a better brand. And I think it's awesome how it's just like, each of us represent the brand the way the brand is, if that makes sense. Like, We're all good people. We're all, we don't even have to be like the best wrestler, but it's pretty cool that we're all super elite. So, and that's like my team. And, I just love being part of Rudis. I don't know, they're awesome, and I love how much they showcase us in our own personalities and stuff. It's not just wrestling, but it's
Mm-hmm.
more than that, and the brand is more than just wrestling. So yeah, I do love them a lot, and I'm excited to go to the headquarters. I think we have to go like May 28th, so that's in a few weeks actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's they're awesome for sure.
It's cool seeing the type of content that you and your sister put out, and kind of seeing how Rudis does similar stuff. Like, you work in a lot of lifestyle content, which I think more wrestlers should do. Like, you play into the fashion sense, Chicago, you play into these things, and it seems like Rudis does the same thing, where it's like there's this balance of like fashion and power, skill and smarts. Like, and you can see the translation from your content to what Rudis is doing. And that's super cool. I've got one question left, and then I'm going to let you go. I'm curious on this, and this might be a vague question, but I was thinking about it this morning because I'm curious for people going to the Olympics, and you're an Olympian for the first time. I'm curious what you're excited about the most for going, apart from wanting to go win a gold medal. I think that goes without saying. But you have the Olympics. It's, you know, there's nothing like the pageantry of the Olympics. World Championships is a fun event. NCAAs, all these different events in wrestling are great. But there's nothing like the pageantry of the Olympics. And, you know, every time we see such cool stuff, you know, seeing Helen win gold and going on NBC the next day in the studio out front, seeing like interaction with the NBA players. Like, there's so many different one-off things that make this event unique. I'm curious for you what you're looking forward to the most, apart from the actual opportunity to go wrestle for a gold medal.
I'm super excited to like see all the Olympians for Team USA, especially like, you know, the legends, like even the like NBA people are gonna be there, and
Right.
like Simone Biles and Shakar. So like, you know, I'm excited to see those people for sure. I'm gonna bring like this book or something, and I'm gonna just have a bunch of autographs in that book, and I can't wait to take pictures with all of them. Yeah, that book is gonna be worth millions, but no, I'm gonna not sell it. But that's what I'm really excited about. Like, I just get to see like legends, and like it's cool that I'm like part of that. You know, I'm not
Right.
just like an outsider. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm obviously gonna be geeking, but like I'm also like, oh, I should be here too. Like, you know, it makes sense. So
Yeah.
and like we're all of us are the best of the best in the nation. So it's like, you know, just nothing but elite people. So I just can't wait to like, because we have the opening ceremony, and it's like on this boat thing. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to fight my way to like see all these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see like, you know, those people.
And
But,
it's so cool, the content.
Yeah.
Like, forget
Yeah, the
autographs. Like,
content
you
is
get the content that you're going to have is crazy.
So my TikTok and Instagram's gonna be blowing up with like all these people. I can't wait. So yeah, and then the gear. We're gonna get a lot of gear. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
I don't have enough room in my closet, but I'll figure it out. So
Listen, I've started making the offer to people, and you're included. Any Olympian who has too much gear, they're more than welcome to send me it. We'll hang it up on the wall. We'll put it in a shadow box, make sure it's signed. We'll put it up nice. I'm like, I just want to make sure you guys are all okay. You never want to have too much gear. So you're more than welcome to submit it to the podcast studio for the office. Yeah, it's so cool. I'm so excited for the competition as a fan, but also to see wrestling in the spotlight, in the mainstream. You know, I remember one of the first times I was really, really intrigued was I was working with Jordan Burroughs when he was heading to the Olympics in 2012, and seeing him with Kobe and all these other people, that I'm like, this is crazy. Like, here's a guy from, you know, Jersey to Nebraska to the main stage. And so it's super cool. Before the Olympics, are you going to the ranking series? I think a lot of you guys are, right? Early June.
Yeah, I'm not even in the top 20, so we're just like, I'm just gonna go out there and wrestle. So I'm not gonna go, but I am gonna go to Spain just to get a tournament in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like the first week of July. But some people who are up there that need more points are probably gonna go.
Yeah.
But Adeline is number 3 right now in the ranking. I wish it could just switch places, but I don't think that's a thing.
Listen, I'm pretty sure
yeah.
good strategy. If you go and win the Olympics, you should get some good points, and the next year you'll have that high ranking. It should make it easier. So just easily just go win the Olympics. The points will take care of themselves for next year.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the plan. So.
Well, I love it.
So Spain is next.
I love that. So everybody pay attention for that. Go follow Kennedy. I'll link up her Instagram, her social, Twitter, TikTok, all that below. Kennedy, thank you for making some time. And hopefully the next time you're on this podcast, we'll have to do like a September show when you win that Olympic gold. That'll be a fun show.
Yep. No, for sure. I'm excited.
So I love it.
Awesome.
All right, everybody, go subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Kennedy, we'll talk soon. See ya.
And the beat goes on.